Hello and welcome to CGTN coverage of China's latest manned space mid-launch. I'm Hona in Beijing. In a little over 2 hours, the Shenzhou-21 crewed spaceship is scheduled to launch from the Jiuquan Satellite Launch Center in northwest China. Chinese Taikonauts Zhang Lu, Fei and Zhang Hongzhang will crew this mission, with Zhang Lu at the commander. The Taikonauts are respectively a space pilot, a flight engineer, and a payload specialist. They will take up duties at the Tiangong space station from the crew of the previous Shenzhou-20 mission, spending about 6 months in space. And this is the sixth mission since Tiangong has reached the research and development stage. The team will undertake a range of tasks, including cargo handling, installing space debris, protection devices, and science education, as well as scientific experiments and extravehicular activities. And here in the studio, we're joined by Professor Yang Jiuquan, our old friend, a chair of the Space Transportation Committee of the International Astronautical Federation. Thank you so much, Professor Yang, as always. So first of all, let's go live to our Chen Yiling at the launch center, where the Taikonauts are taking part in the send-off ceremony ahead of their mission. Good to see you there, Yiling. Tell us what is the atmosphere there?
Good to see you, Hona. So right now I'm at Yuan Square, and this is the very starting point of the sending-off ceremony of the Taikonauts. So outside right now the temperature is around 6 degrees Celsius, so it's pretty freezing. But let me tell you, the atmosphere around here is definitely electric. And as you can see now, there are a lot of people lining along my both sides. So they consist of working staff from different working systems, a lot of space fans and students, as well as media crews, both from China and overseas. So definitely the world is watching this. And if you look closer, you will notice they are waving flags and waving flowers. Earlier, they're also cheering for the Shenzhou-21 crew. So speaking of the crew, this time there were a lot to expect for this crew. We know Zhang Lu is the commander, and he is also the veteran taikonaut who has participated in the Shenzhou-15 mission. And this time he's joined by two newcomers, Fei and Zhang Hongzhang. But I would like to share with you some additional information about them. First, this time they consist of 3 generations. We know Zhang Lu was born in the 1970s, and Zhang Hongzhang was born in the 1980s, and Wu Fei was born in the 1990s. And he is now the youngest taikonaut that's ever assigned to a crewed mission. But this is not a coincidence. This totally demonstrates China's continuous and multi-generational legacy of China's manned space missions. And second, let's take a look at their roles. So Zhang Lu is the space pilot, Wu Fei is the space engineer, and Zhang Hongzhang is the payload specialist. So this time is the second time we see a payload specialist at this crew. Last time was the Gui Haichao in the Shenzhou-16 mission. But they represent the current 3 different types of taikonauts that are currently in service. And this type of diversity is very essential, especially now the application and development stage of the China's Tiangong space station. And speaking of this, I also would like to share with you that this time the crew will conduct nearly 30 scientific projects. The biggest highlight is, of course, they are bringing 4 mice with them up to space. And this marks China's first ever scientific experiment involving rodent mammals in space. And definitely the world is watching this. But last but not least, I'd also invite you to focus one more details. So later when the crew comes out, we can pay attention to the vehicle that will carry them to the launch pad, because this time it is totally updated. And we can also keep an eye on the license plate. It is not made up of numbers, but some special, very beautiful message, as well as a national blessing for this whole mission. So I will keep it as a secret for now. Let's wait and see. And we wish the Shenzhou-21 crew a safe and successful journey. Back to you, Hona.
Thank you so much, Yiling, for updates at the launch center. We can't wait to unveil that secret. We appreciate your reporting there. Well, the Shenzhou-21 crew will have a much faster ride to the space station this time compared to their predecessors, thanks to the advancing technology. Sun Ye has more.
The Shenzhou-21 cruise trip to the China space station will be much quicker than all previous Shenzhou cruise, quicker by hours.
The 3.5-hour rapid rendezvous and docking means the crewed spacecraft can complete its connection with the space station just 3.5 hours after entering orbit. Compared to Shenzhou-20, this is 3 hours shorter. This technology significantly reduces rendezvous and docking time and improves the Taikonauts' comfort during the journey. It also reduces energy constraints on the launch window, making the mission more adaptable and enhances our ability to handle major emergencies.
It means an earlier get-together for the Shenzhou-21 and Shenzhou-20 crews. The living supplies, food, equipment, and scientific experiment payloads traveling with the spaceship will also arrive at the space station much faster and fresher.
And as Shenzhou-21 spaceship goes to China's space station, the Shenzhou-22 spaceship stands ready for emergency needs. Sun Ye, CGTN, Jiuquan Satellite Launch Center.
All right, for more insights, we go to our studio guest, Professor Yang Jiuquan. Always good to have you with us, Professor Yang. So you've covered multiple launches of several Shenzhou missions with us over the past year. So what is your biggest anticipation for this mission?
Well, as you mentioned before, today we are in the application and development phase of our Tiangong Space Station program. So today we are in the stage to get the return from our scientific research. Of course, today there is no exception that the Shenzhou-21 mission will conducting multiple experiments, actually speaking 27 experiments in outer space. During this experiment, of course, as your reporter have already mentioned, the 4 miles will be a very exciting and very interesting experiment. But I believe this time, this experiment, the major goal will to master the technologies. You know, I believe that this will not the only time we bring mammals to our Tiangong Space Station. So today, we should test the technology to have the right container, the right feeding system, the right system to clean their the rubbish and also ventilation and so on. So if we can bring our samples, the 4 mice, to our station with this 21 spaceship and bring them back with the Shenzhou-20 spaceship, although they only stay there for about 1 week, but will cover all the necessary technologies for bringing these high-level animals to our Tiangong Space Station. I believe in future we can have them more time duration.
I was wondering, Professor Yang, we already brought zebrafish to the space, and why mice this time?
You know that we should do this one by one and step by step. You know that in the early missions we have some worms to be on board our Shenzhou spaceship, and then, as you mentioned, zebrafish. Today we have the mammal because you know that although mice are very small, but they have 85% DNA similar to human being. So it is very necessary for us to conduct this kind of research.
So, as a reporter mentioned, why is this time around, the travel time is much faster than previous missions? What is the new technologies?
Actually speaking, we have a world record with the Tianzhou-5 mission, only 2 hours from the launch to docking with our Tiangong Space Station. But you know that the shorter it is, the more comfortable our astronaut is. You can imagine if you take 6.5 hours from your home to your office, how inconvenient you are.
Exactly.
So, it is shorter than before, so not only more comfortable for our astronaut, but also very useful, very meaningful for our experiments. For instance, the mice, and in the future maybe other animals. If it can be shorter, it is possible and easier for us to bring more multiple kinds of animals to our station to conduct scientific research. So that is the advantage to have a shorter time, not only to make it more convenient for our passengers, but also that this need a very strict requirement, especially you have a more strict launch window, and also it need more requirement to our GNC or the navigation guidance and control system to be more accurate.
Exactly, more precision is needed here to ensure the travel time is much shorter than previous missions. So compare with mission Tiangong 20 mission, Shenzhou 20 mission, what is the biggest breakthrough in terms of technology this time?
Well, that's the Shenzhou-20 Shenzhou-21 spaceship belong to the same batch comparing with the Shenzhou-20. All these ships were made in batches. Actually speaking, 5 Shenzhou spaceships were made in the same batch. So generally speaking, their technical specifications are similar. But every time we also have some small improvement. For instance, this time the uploading and downloading capability of our Shenzhou-21 is optimized, so it can bring more payload to the station and also bring more back to the Earth. So after half a year, maybe also in this video, we can see more scientific research results from this Shenzhou-21 crew. Moreover, you see that the procedure or the sequence for the launch also is simplified and optimized. Today before today's launch, we used to have a 3-level commander and system, but today we only use 2-layer. So it's simplified, and we can spend less time than before, and it's more economical than before.
And this time there will be a handover ceremony there at the space. 6 people, 6 astronauts will be there at the same time. So what would you say the biggest challenge when they're for this mission, when they're having this handover in Tiangong at the same time?
I believe that every time we have a handover in orbit, so it raises a very high requirement to the so-called generative life support and environmental control system. You know that the ordinary or the daily configuration is only 3 persons, so we can use only 1 system in the Tianhe module. But for 6 people, we also need the same system in the Wentiange module, so it can support 6 people stay in orbit for a short term. But you know that besides the life support system, also the daily handover will be more critical because we have very complex experiments, and also the management and operation of the space station is also very complex. We need a face-to-face handover to ensure everything is okay, and this is necessary and become a routinary operation comparing with other countries.
And I want to talk about the Taikonauts here, and now we have Zhang Lu, Fei and Zhang Hongzhang with Zhang Lu at the commander-in-chief. And I want to know the youngest. We also have the youngest Taikonauts in history. So can you give a little bit of background on this gentleman?
Actually speaking, what proud me most is Wu Fei. Because you know that just during the live coverage of CGTN on Shenzhou-20 mission, I expressed that I'm very proud that Wang Jie is the first native of Inner Mongolia to become a taikonaut. But this time we have the second one, and Wu Fei, Wang Jie, 2 native of Inner Mongolia will meet in orbit. So this is what proud me most.
All right. So, China has those medium and long-term goals for space science development. And as you mentioned, we're bringing mammals and mice to space this time. In terms of bioscience technology, what is the biggest through this time for the space, for the Tiangong-21 mission?
As I mentioned, I believe that this time we bring 4 mice into orbit is to test the corresponding technologies to make them healthy and in good status to conducting multiple research in orbit. You know that the microgravity environment and the radiation in orbit is what we should care about in this kind of scientific research. But what concerns most is the procedure during the liftoff and during the landing. In these 2 procedures, we will have the very intensive vibration, also the G forces. Not only the Taikonauts will experience these very inconvenient conditions, but also all these biological samples. So we have the selection, very strict selection on the different mouse to have this, to make them they are strong enough and also have the right psychological status to be in a good status when they brought into the Tiangong space. And also we need to get them back in very good status.
Exactly. Things are progressing, advancing really rapidly during the past couple of years. So in terms of, we're now watching live footage from the Jiuquan Launch Center. We're expecting to see the Taikonauts, 3 Taikonauts, Zhang Lu, Wu Fei, and Zhang Hongzhang.
Exactly. So we can see that Commander Zhang Lu, I can feel that he is full of confidence.
Exactly. He's from the second batch of.
This is he belongs to the second batch, and this is his second flight.
And those 2, Zhang Hongzhang and Wu Fei, they're from the third batch of Taikonauts.
Yeah, exactly. So I believe Wu Fei is also almost maybe the youngest during the third batch.
He was born in 1993.
93,
Yeah.
only 32 years old.
Only 32 years old.
载人飞行任务准备完毕，请您指示航天员张路、航天员武飞、航天员张鸿章出发。是。
Salute.
You may notice that only Commander Zhang Lu salute because only he is come from PLA and the other two are from the industry. So they are professionals.
And as you mentioned now, there are two Taikonauts came from Inner Mongolia
Yeah, exactly.
region.
Mr. Wu Fei is a native of Baotou city, the largest city in Mongolia.
And the three Taikonauts are receiving huge applause from the audience at the scene.
Yes, and during the previous interviews of CMG with these Taikonauts, they have mentioned their experiments they will conduct during this Shenzhou-21 mission. And you know that Mr. Wu Fei and Mr. Zhang Hongzhang all comes from the space industry. One from TASC and the other from the Dalian Institute of Chemical Physics. So they will have the chance to conducting very complex experiments in outer space.
The three Taikonauts seems in really good condition.
Yes, and their training is very, I believe that is very challenging for them. Especially the training of the survival in wild fields. This is very necessary to ensure their safety in in abnormal case. So this kind of training is necessary but very challenging for them.
And now they're waving at the audience there.
Yes.
Definitely in good shape.
You may notice that our IVA or the intravehicular spacesuit they are wearing is also optimized. During the early missions, they must hold a small box. That is a device for ventilation. But you can see today, this device is integrated to the suit itself, so the hands are free.
So I read from a report that one of the spacesuits is used for more than 20 times.
That what you mentioned is the EVA spacesuit or extravehicular spacesuit. So the extravehicular or the EVA spacesuit is much more complex and much more expensive than this IVA spacesuit.
So they would change before they go for EVA activities.
Exactly. So actually speaking, this moment we have 4 EVA spacesuits. We have 5 EVA spacesuits on board our Tiangong space station. One has been used for more than 20 times. So according to the announcement of the China Manned Space Agency, it will no longer be used, and in the future maybe it will be brought back.
Oh, got it. Interesting. So they would change before they go out for EVA. How long does the procedure take?
Usually, you know that the EVA itself conduct usually from 6 to 8 hours, but we also made a world record of 9 hours before. And I should also emphasize that Mr. Zhang Lu has a record of China that he conducted 4 EVAs during only one single mission, during the Shenzhou-21 mission. So Commander Fei in that mission with our commander today, Mr. Zhang Lu, conducted these 4 EVAs during that mission.
So now Zhang Lu holds the records of conducting the most EVAs.
In one mission.
In one mission.
Yes, 4 times.
4 times in Shenzhou-15 mission.
And another significant thing for us to say is that, you know that with today's mission, Zhang Lu is the last one during the second batch of our astronauts who conducted more than 2 flight missions. So
the last one in the second batch of astronauts.
Although you know that we have 7 Taikonauts in our second batch, Zhang Lu is the last one who conducted the second mission. And Mr. Chen Dong even have already is in orbit for his 3rd mission.
3rd mission.
Yes.
So what about the 3rd batch? Now we have Wu Fei and Zhang Hongzhang coming from the 3rd batch. how many do we left for the third batch who haven't go to space yet?
As I remember, maybe we have 14 or 18 members in our third batch. So they have a good chances. You know, today
and they're still young.
Since the Shenzhou 6 mission, every time we have 2 members from the third batch. So most of them already have that chance to go to outer space.
So exciting to
yes.
see.
And today we have the second payload specialist, as your reporter has already mentioned. The first one is Mr. Gui Haichao from Beihang University. He's a professor from the university, but this time we have a payload specialist from the industry.
We'll definitely be getting back to you, Professor
Yeah.
Yang. So now let's go live to our Sun Ye, who is now standing by in Jiuquan at the launch center. Good to see you there, Sun Ye. So tell us, what is the latest from there? It looks like it's a little bit cold outside.
Hey there, Hona. The weather is fine, and you can probably see there's a moon there, so a clear night. A little bit cold, but doesn't make it's not a problem. Now we're again 1.5 kilometers away from the launch tower, the Shenzhou-21 spaceship, and the Shenzhou-21 the rocket. They are wrapped inside that launch tower, waiting for Shenzhou-21 crew's arrival. Now the Jiuquan Satellite Launch Center is all set. It's all ready for the mission. In the past week, there have been drills, practices. Some of them, the Taikonauts, the Shenzhou-21 crew, have participated themselves. Now, one of the experts from the Astronaut Center told us in one of those drills, the 3, he saw them in great condition, both physically and mentally. The 3 have worked so well together. They have done every maneuver precisely. And more importantly, the 3 have shown great teamwork. They have great rapport with one another. And again, they are in their best day. Now, that drill was early this week, and the real thing will be happening soon. And we are waiting for their arrival in that launch tower too. Hona.
Thank you so much, Sun Ye, for your reporting from Jiuquan Launch Center. We'll definitely keep you updated. And now let's get back to our studio guest, Professor Yan. Professor, as our reporter mentioned, you know, the temperature there is, well, she said it's not that cold, but still, what is the temperature relating to the launching conditions?
Well, we must consider this factor.
I remember last time we talked about Shenzhou-21.
Yeah.
You said about low temperatures will have some, will cause some problems when it comes to...
Exactly. So we have the measure of the thermal control of our launch complex. You may notice that in our launch pad, we have a service tower which can form a closed volume for our launch vehicle. So it provides a very convenient condition for our launch vehicle. So you know that the weather or the climate condition in the Jiuquan Satellite Launcher is not very good. So in winter it's extremely cold, and also it often have the sandstorms and other bad weathers. So we must consider the influence of these bad weather, especially the wind, the sandstorm, and also the extreme cold temperature. So this time we also have some protections, the thermal protections on the fuselage of our launch vehicle to keep the temperature. The ground staff, our Jiuquan Satellite Launch Center, has already mentioned that during the liftoff, this one will drop down. So it will not be a burden of our launch vehicle, but keep a very good condition before the launch. So this is very necessary. And also, you know that the launch itself is a big engineering project.
Exactly.
You know that you may notice that every time during the launch we have multiple rotational platforms and multiple rotational arms, and also cables and pipes for the to provide electricity, to provide fuel, to provide other propellants for our launch vehicle as well, and also our Shenzhou spaceship. So if even one of these have some malfunction, it may cause pause of the whole launch procedure. So before the launch itself, the ground staff of our Jiuquan Satellite Launch Center must conduct very comprehensive checking and test, so to ensure that everything is okay. Moreover, we have to ensure that every ground station, the tracking stations, including our tracking ships in the oceans, must in right condition, and also our Tianlian data relay satellite. So this is work a coordination of the launch site system, the rocket system, the Shenzhou space system, the astronaut system, and also the TTNC, all the telemetry, telecontrol, and communication system.
Exactly. Every detail matters, and it is a coordinated effort that requires maximum precision in each area or even small parts of the designing process. So let's talk about Zhang Lu, who is definitely very confident, as we can see from the footage there. He's the second time he went to space, and he's the commander. And now he's leading two little brothers, as we can use that. So before they go to space, what kind of training will they have?
Well, when we talk about Zhang Lu, it is very interesting. You know that during his when he was a student in high school, his dream is to become a singer. But you know that
he can still sing in space.
Yes, of course. And you know that when he graduated, he chose to go to the college for Air Force pilot. And finally, he became a fighter pilot. So even being a fighter pilot, he's very outstanding. So that is the reason why he was chosen as a backup astronaut several years before. You know that he has conducted the Shenzhou-15 mission very perfectly. So I believe that this time it is the right choice for me to appoint him as the commander of this Shenzhou-21 mission.
Thank you so much, Professor. We'll be getting back to you. Well, new life science experiments will be conducted during the Shenzhou-21 mission, including having mammals as experimental animals for the first time on China's space station. So the subjects are mice and a study on amino acids. And here are some scientists explaining what these experiments are and how they could answer major questions. Take a listen.
This project marks the first time we've sent mice as experimental animals to China's space station to conduct short-term rearing experiments for 5 to 7 days. There are 4 mice, 2 mice in each small unit, 1 female and 1 male. The mice will travel to the space station aboard the Shenzhou-21 spaceship. We've also set up a ground-based system that will also conduct a 5 to 7 day, 1-to-1 parallel experiment. In these 5 to 7 days, the first thing we need to observe is how the mice live, move, and rest in orbit under microgravity conditions. All of these are questions. What we'll primarily examine is a comparison of in-orbit behavior and behavior on the ground. What are the mice's movement trajectories like? What changes occur in their daily routines and circadian rhythms? What are their feeding and drinking patterns? We'll also use AI for observation. Mice share approximately 95% genetic similarity with humans, making them an excellent model organism. Our ultimate goal is to understand how the space environment brings changes during long-term human spaceflight activities. We use mice as a model organism to understand humans, ultimately to serve humanity.
The space mouse rearing device is a completely airtight system. The rearing device that was sent up to the space station with Tianqiao-9 provides gas purification, oxygen supply, and on-orbit monitoring for the mice. The mouse experimental unit that goes with Shenzhou-21 provides food and water for the mice, as well as lighting, imaging, and waste collection. Speaking of the mice waste collection, this is actually a fairly unique requirement we have under microgravity. In the space microgravity environment, droppings can float around, so we designed a small automated waste collection system, essentially a directional airflow to move the waste to a designated module. The more advanced the organism, the higher its living requirements usually are, and the more factors we need to consider.
Our project primarily focuses on researching the issue of homochirality in the origin of life molecules. Life on Earth has undergone billions of years of evolution, and ultimately, without exception, all life has chosen left-handed amino acids as the material foundation for protein construction. The question we want to explore is whether this choice is related to Earth's gravitational conditions. In the space station environment, the microgravity conditions are genuine microgravity. If we want to study these interactions at the molecular level, the best approach is still to have a real microgravity environment.
And now we are seeing live pictures of the 3 Taikonauts going to be on board Shenzhou-21 mission. That's Zhang Lu, Fei and Zhang Hongzhang, who's led by motorcade. Zhang Lu is the commander, who is from the second batch of Taikonauts.
Exactly.
And Fei and Zhang Hongzhang coming from the third batch of Taikonauts. They will take over duties at the Tiangong space station from the crew of previous Shenzhou-21 mission, they already spent about 6-month time in space. And this is the 6th manned mission since Tiangong has reached the research and development stage. The team will undertake a range of tasks, including cargo handling, installing space debris protection devices, and science education, as well as scientific experiments and EVA activities.
Yes.
All right, we'll go back to Professor Yang. It looks like, 3 of them are in really good condition. They were singing on the car. And let's talk about the selection of the Taikonauts. We are seeing more international collaboration when it comes to selecting the Taikonauts. We're here from the authorities that there will be Pakistani astronauts in the near future, right?
Exactly. You know that according to the white paper of China's space activities, we want to be a leading country in space field, and one important benchmark becoming a leading country in space field is the international cooperation. So the Tiangong space station is not only the national space laboratory of China in outer space, but also it is a very brilliant business card of China in foreign relations. So it is a most ideal platform for we to conduct international cooperation. I can still remember that several years before, the China Manned Space Agency have a joint calling of joint experiments together with the UNOSA, or the United Nations Office for Outer Space Affairs. They together call for joint experiments from other countries. So many proposals were delivered, and 17 of these experiments were chosen. And many of them, the scientists and engineers from other countries produced these instruments, and it will be brought back to the station by the Tianzhou cargo spacecraft, and then conducting the experiments by our Chinese Taikonauts. But today, you know that I can also emphasize that several months before, Mr. Lin Xiqiang, the deputy chief of the China Manned Space Agency, signed an agreement with the Pakistan side, and they will have joint training selection of the Pakistani Taikonauts, and then they will be trained in the space city of China, maybe for 2 years, and then one of them will be selected from these 2 Pakistans to go to our Tiangong space station for short term.
And Professor, the Shenzhou-21 mission is again expected to break new grounds. The 3 in their spacewalks will be wearing new, amped-up spacesuits, so they will be tending to a large number of scientific and technological assignments, as we have mentioned, including the studies on lithium battery. And also, the Shenzhou-21 crew will carry out in-orbit scientific experiments involving mice during their stay on the space station. And I want to talk a little bit about mice, which everybody is interested in.
Very interesting.
4 mice, 2 males and 2 females, will be transported to China Space Station on board Shenzhou-21 spaceship and raised in orbit. So, were the mice already in the spaceship already?
Already, I believe that the mice have been, actually speaking, will be mounted in the device, a device mounted in the orbital module. You know that we have 3 modules of our Shenzhou spaceship. From top to the down is the orbital module, the re-entry capsule, and the propulsion module. So usually most of the cargoes we brought together with the astronauts will be mounted in the orbital module. I believe that's the reason we choose mice, because it is
small.
Yes, exactly.
It's
very small, even with 4 mice, but the container will be very small and very convenient for us to handle. So this time we will test the technologies to transport these high-level mammals to outer space and safely get them back. So this is the right technology. I should say also, to become a leading country in space field for manned space activities, this experiment is to catch up with those other countries, because you know that the other countries already have brought mice to the International Space Station before. So this time is our China's turn to do this experiment.
So why 2 males and 2 females?
Well, you know that the advantage of mice is that the iteration between different generations, the interval is very, very small. So you know that if you have a dog or a gorilla to the outer space, maybe you need 20 years to see the evidence of their different DNA in the next generation.
How they evolve.
Yeah. So for the mice, maybe you only need 2 years.
Exactly.
So that is the reason why we need both the male and the female mice.
Exactly. So what do you think will be the biggest challenge for this mission, 21 mission, compared with mission 20?
As we've already discussed, I think one challenge is to ensure that the mice are in good condition even after the intensive vibration and G-forces during the launch. And also, we need to feed them in a very normal condition and ensure they are very healthy. And also, to be the right condition to conduct all kinds of research. And also, we need to see their reactions in outer space. So all these are very challenging for us because we don't have the experience before. And you know that although we've already have the worms and also the zebrafish before, but this time, you know, the mammal is the high-level animal similar to human being. So I believe this is a very challenging thing for us. And also, this is not a challenge, as I mentioned, not only for the Shenzhou-21 crew, but also for the Shenzhou-20 crew. When they bring these 4 mice back to the Earth, also they need to ensure, they have to ensure they are in good status. And when they get back to the Earth, the returning procedure, also the retrieving or the recovery system must ensure that these mice are in good status.
So the 3 Taikonauts are respectively a space pilot, a flight engineer, and a payload specialist. Why is the combination?
Well, you know that in the early stages, the major purpose of our space missions are to master the right technologies. There were so many uncertainties during these missions, so it is very risky. Why we choose only the pilots? Because they were almost all were selected from the Air Force pilots, so they are in good. Already reached
they're waving to the crowd.
Yeah.
征途皆璀璨，归途俱平坦。 航天薪火船，中国空间站，我们来了。
Space and China Space Station, we are coming. We look forward to your return in triumph.
And they have reached the doorway of the launch pad. They will take the elevator to the 9th floor and prepare to enter the spacecraft.
Yeah. You may notice that the ground staff wearing face masks. Also, you need to avoid any bacteria or virus to influence their health condition.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So the elevator will take the crew to the 9th floor. There, the crew will make some final preparations.
Yes. Although we've already discussed about the EVA spacesuit, but the IVA spacesuit is also very complex. So we must ensure that it can form an airtight sealing during the mission to give a secondary protection if have some malfunction of their capsule.
So the IVA suit, as you mentioned, are the 3 new ones or used by others before?
They are new ones. Each time for also the size of the
it's custom made.
Is compatible with a certain person. They have the mark of their names.
I believe so.
On the suit, so they will be only used once. But it's much simpler than the EVA spacesuits, and the EVA suits were varying by different persons.
So the 9-story platform is more than 4 meters above the ground, and the speed of the elevator is relatively slow to help the Taikonauts stay calm.
Yes. So at this platform, they will also conduct multiple examinations and checkings to ensure their own status and their IVA spacesuit are in good condition.
So, are they going to remove the boots of the Taikonauts?
Exactly. So you know that the boot is to protect their spacesuit when they walk on the ground. But when they go enter the capsule, they no longer need the boots.
When they already enter the cabin,
they
don't.
The ground staff will help them to take off their boots.
Exactly. And some adjustments will also be made to make it easier for the Taikonauts to enter.
Yeah. So that's we emphasize that it's a task of multiple systems. Very smooth coordination is necessary for this
It's
procedure.
such a complicated system.
Exactly. But even although it is very complex, but we are continuous to do our efforts to simplify this procedure, in the constraints to ensure the safety and reliability. We will greatly reduce the multiple procedures to make it more cheaper and more economical to in the future to have affordable space activities.
So what kind of final preparations will they have before, they go to this cabin? Are they allowed to drink some coffee?
No.
Or
actually speaking, they have already wear some diapers inside their spacesuit.
So they're probably not allowed to go to toilet
They don't
for a
have
couple
the
of
chance.
hours.
Yeah.
And watching live pictures of the Jiuquan Launch Center.
I've been there in 2019 to see this very beautiful blue building. So this launch service, the service tower is really beautiful.
The ninth floor building, is it?
You can see that on the right of the screen is a payload fairing. Inside this payload fairing is our Shenzhou-21 spaceship. This is a hatch just close to the orbital module. On the side, there is a hatch. We can help the astronauts to go inside and then go down to their seats.
I can't imagine the nervousness and excitement coming from the three Taikonauts and their families as well.
Honestly speaking, they are well trained, and also that you may heard from your reporters from CMG. Just several days before, they have an integrated drill of the whole system. The three astronauts also joined this training. So I believe that they are full of confidence and not so nervous.
Looking very calm.
Yeah.
They're receiving the final orders.
We can hear the voice outside the screen. Is still the configuration or the confirmation of the status of different ground stations, and also that the commander in our Jiuquan Satellite Launch Center is in charge of the whole launch procedure. So they have different kinds of drills, one by one, and also even before the launch, we have necessary simulations.
The magnificent footage of the 9-story building.
We can see the weather conditions is good for the launch itself, although
it's
the temperature
not
is
that cold.
Yeah, a little bit cold, but still is within the range for our launch. That I can
the visibility is pretty great.
Exactly. So we can see the very beautiful trail of our launch vehicle. That we even have colder weathers during the Shenzhou-1 launch. I believe that it's before the end.
It's really cold.
It's just before the end of the 1999. I can still remember that it's a very cold condition.
So that comes to the question: how do we choose the window each time?
The most critical requirement, or the most important constraints, is the orbital plane. That our Tiangong space station orbiting the Earth in a certain orbital plane. So we don't have other choices. We can only launch our Shenzhou spacecraft as the chasing vehicle when the launch pad is rotating together with the Earth when passing through the orbital plane of our Tiangong space station. So the accuracy of the launch time is much better than 1 second. That is called zero window launch. So that brings a very high requirement to our launch vehicle and to the GNC or guidance, navigation, and control system. But today we've already mastered this technology and it's already very practical.
Are we seeing the
this is the orbital module. What we
module.
see, you can see all kinds of cargos mounted on the side walls of this. This is the re-entry capsule. You can see the basins or the seats for the astronauts.
So they will be entering the cabin one by one.
Exactly. So I believe that Mr. Zhang Hongzhang will enter the hatch first. Zhang
Hongzhang will be entering first.
Exactly. Because that always the commander needs to sit in the middle. So he will be
Exactly.
the last one to enter the re-entry capsule.
And also, in a short while, the escort will be taking off the boots of the Taikonauts because they can't wear them when entering the cabin, right? Some adjustments will also be made to make it easier for the Taikonauts to enter.
Yeah. So
Oh, they're
at this
taking off
moment,
the
they
boots
still have
now.
ground staff inside the orbital module to help our Taikonauts to go more smoothly from the orbital module, go down to the re-entry capsule and to their seat.
And now the escort is taking off their boots. So the boots will be left on the ground in Jiuquan.
Yes, of course. Maybe brought back to the astronaut center in Beijing. But you know that these booths is very good objects for a museum.
Exactly. 3 Taikonauts look very calm and confident. And the,
固定性检查太原，明白？渭南，明白？青岛，明白？酒泉，明白？青山，明白？双城，明白？5号，明白？
What we heard is the voice of the commander ask each of the ground tracking station to confirm they've already get the right message. So this is a coordination of all kinds of systems all over our country. Especially, you know, that during the downrange of the trajectory of our launch vehicle, there are multiple ground stations which can receiving the signals emitted from the launch vehicle, which contains the critical parameters of the launch vehicle and the Shenzhou spaceship as well. So every time we can see very clear video images, video streams from our launch vehicle, and also the video from our Shenzhou spaceship, especially the video inside our re-entry capsule to see the status of our Taikonauts.
so what are they putting in the cabin? What they're transferring there?
Maybe the
There's
mouse?
something.
各号注意，固定性检查正常结束，太原，明白？渭南，明白？青岛。
Well, on the top right of the screen is a camera mounted in the orbital module. You can see all kinds of cargoes, and maybe the 4 mice are one of it.
Probably the 4 mice.
Yeah, exactly. Of course, it will be mounted in this orbital module, the container.
The container.
Yeah.
各号注意，计算机理论弹道检查，5分钟准备，08号。
It looks like a pretty cozy and
明白？
a cozy place to stay.
明白？青岛。
And you know that the role of the orbital module has already been changed in today's phase. You know that during the early missions, it is the living room of our astronauts. But you know that today we conduct a fast rendezvous and routing. The astronauts only stayed in the Shenzhou spaceship for several hours, so it became a cargo bay for our Tiangong missions. So the role of the orbital module changed.
What kind of special food will they bring to space this time? As we have seen dumplings and kung pao chicken.
What you mentioned can be brought by the Tianzhou spaceship to our Tiangong space station. But in the Shenzhou space, of course, it will bring some food. Usually, the most favorite one is fresh fruit.
Fresh fruit,
Exactly,
definitely.
because that's the most valuable one
The
for
precious
those
one.
who stay in outer space for several months.
Exactly. And they're waiting to enter the cabin one by one.
Yes, as we mentioned, Mr. Zhang Hongzhang probably will be the first
entering
one
the
to
cabin
enter the
first.
cabin, and he will sit in the seat
各号注意，
to
收
the
集5分钟准备情况，08
5
号。
minutes countdown.
5分钟准备完毕
yes,，
太原
but。that's still a
5分钟
simulation.
准备完毕，
simulation.
渭南。
Yeah,
5分钟准备完毕。
it mentioned the T-minus 5 minutes and counting. Of course, this moment is not 5 minutes, T-minus 5 minutes. So this is a simulation. It's necessary for the whole system to be ensure that everyone is okay, everyone is ready.
Exactly. The technical staff looks pretty confident.
Yeah,
各号
but
注意，
And
the
ready.
drill
理
is
论弹道检查
necessary
，1分
before
钟
the
准备。
launch. And we use the computers today to simulate everything.
50秒。
We can see T-minus 50 seconds. So that's the simulation.
40秒。
The simulation, that's the simulation there.
Exactly. And this simulation can test very comprehensively of multiple systems, so to ensure that especially the electronics is okay for the launch. It's go for launch.
You know, visibility is definitely great.
Yeah.
You can see clearly the magnificent view of the 9th floor tower.
You know, as I mentioned, I went to Jiuquan Satellite Launch Center in 2019. It is the first time for me to see the Milky Way with my naked eye.
So
you can see how clear it is.
Exactly.
44秒，动拐5毫秒，T0 210 23分44秒，动拐5毫秒。
And the 3 Taikonauts are still waiting to enter the cabin one by one.
According to the introduction of the ground staff of our Jiuquan Satellite Launch Center, they are continuously to optimize their works and their tasks. You know that from the vehicle assembly building with a track to our launch complex, there are also multiple critical systems. So every time we need to conduct a very comprehensive examination to ensure these systems are in good status. But today, with constraints to ensure the reliability, we can also shorten this examination and make it more faster. This is very meaningful, especially if someday we're conducting a rescue mission for our astronaut in outer space. So this kind of optimization is very necessary.
So the contingency plan is also there.
So at this right moment, just 1.5 kilometers away from the launch pad, the Long March 2F Y-22 launch vehicle and the Shenzhou-22 spaceship is standing in the VAB.
We're seeing the wind speed is around 2.2 meters per second.
Not very fast.
Not very fast. Visibility is definitely great.
Although the temperature is a little bit low, I can see your colleagues very sick cold.
Exactly, but she said it's okay. It's not that cold.
It's still okay in this season. I can still remember that during the Shenzhou 6 mission, that in 2005, it's snowing during the launch.
There's no wind.
Yeah.
Compared with the temperature, the wind speed is also important.
Yeah, exactly. Especially the wind speed in very high latitude will influence the control procedure. It's very critical. It may even cause damage of the launch vehicle itself.
Thank you so much, Professor Yang, always for sharing with us your insights. We'll definitely be getting back to you in our later special program. So the 3 Taikonauts are making their final preparations for the liftoff. A send-off ceremony was held earlier for the crew. China is set to launch the Shenzhou-21 manned spacecraft at 15:44 GMT from the Jiuquan Satellite Launch Center, and this marks the 37th flight for China's manned space program and the 6th crewed mission since the space station reached the research and development stage. So stay tuned to CGTN special coverage on the launch of the mission at 15:30 GMT. I'm Hongnan Beijing. Thanks for watching. I'll see you later.